is the only sport where unknown competitors turn into modern-day gladiators, where the roses rise through the concrete of deadly fists. Fighters not only become champions, they also become icons. The Unprofessional Experts podcast is committed to delivering raw, unfiltered content solely focused on the world's most unforgiving sport. So without hesitation, be sure to subscribe, like, and follow to our podcast. With that being said, God listens to our podcast, so should you. You're welcome.
Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flame.
In the red corner, we have the global phenomenon, Dave O, the Destroyer. In the blue corner, we have the legendary JMC.
Straight right hand right on the button. Whoa.
Welcome back, fight fans. Per usual, it is the Unprofessional Experts podcast. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a random animal, tell a random elderly person. Let them know that we have a brand new goddamn episode. Because if you do not, God damn it, we could squabble up in real life. Man, all you have to do is search anywhere, search everywhere. The Unprofessional Experts podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, get on socials. We're absolutely everywhere. Just search the Unprofessional Experts podcast once again and get tapped in. Quick recap, man. We had some fights last night. They were supposed to be great. They were not. The big Charlo, he did what he was supposed to do, man. Big goofy white boy in front of him, man, but he stopped him. And it was supposed to be a build-up fight against Plant. But goddamn it, Plant ran into a problem. Man, he had an aggressive, young, hungry Mexican fighter. Really struggled with the pressure. Plant, man, got a big loss out there. He handled it as humble as possible, but nobody expected that, man. Plant absolutely needs to do better with pressure fighters.
He got dropped, didn't he?
He even got dropped. And to be honest, goddamn it, he didn't look good. With that being said, man, quick recap of last night's action. Should have been better. It was not. It is what it is. We'll see what happens moving forward. What's going on next, bro?
I hope y'all enjoyed that recap. We got folding chair activity for y'all right now.
Hell yeah.
Damn, he got folded like a lawn chair.
All right, y'all, welcome back. On today's episode, we just want to switch it up a little bit, and we want to talk about fighting styles and techniques, man. So we got a few fighting styles, that a few notable boxers have that we just kind of want to talk about and break down. So we're going to start with defensive fighters, man. Yeah, because I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know they're not the most popular and liked styles of boxing, but we want to break down the defensive fighter because they are some of the best, and notably one of the best defensive fighters of all time. You guessed it, Floyd Mayweather. So how do you feel about at least the latter half, right? The second half of his career, he was a very defensive fighter. Money Mayweather was a defensive fighter. Pretty Boy was more balanced, right? He was more offensive and defensive fighter, but Money Mayweather was definitely more of a defensive tactician. So let's break that down, man. How do you like that shoulder roll Philly shell from Mayweather, the defensive style?
Man, to be honest, I really think it depends on the person because, for me, back in my day, my style, I was chin up, eyes closed, throwing punches, right? And so I was never the defensive fighter type of guy. So I wanted to see the action. And so for me, personally, I think defensive fighters, they're needed. It is the sweet science. It is not called brawling. It is not called, beat each other to death. It's called boxing.
It's called boxing.
And so there is a method to the madness. Even though it seems brutal, there's absolutely a method. But I just wasn't that guy that cared about the method. And so for me, it feels as if defensive fighters are doing a disservice to the sport because you can have a balance. You can do both. You can do all things. And so to just get in the ring and simply be boring, I disagree with that. And so, granted, Floyd specifically, he gets a bad rap for what he did in the ring, but he built it up so good. He was such a salesman. The fight was going to be such a spectacle. Just for him to sit back and shoulder roll and throw one counter punch at a time, I disagree with that. And I hate that he did that. The biggest fights in history are of Floyd Mayweather sitting back waiting to counter. And I think he should have went all out. I want to give the fans a show. Granted, he might have CTE at this point in his life, but goddamn it, it's worth it.
And see, and that's part of, I think, where I disagree, because I enjoy the defensive maneuvers and the defensive tactics, and it really shows that you're really thinking in there, right? You're not just in there throwing punches, like you said, with your with your chin up, just hoping something lands, or because the name of the game in boxing is to hit and what?
Not get hit.
And not get hit. Right. So it's very important. I think a lot of people overlook that, especially new fighters coming into the gym. You want to hit the bag, you want to spar, you want to throw punches, but are you working on not getting hit? Are you working on those defensive tactics and maneuvers? And I think a lot of the time it gets overlooked. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the technical side, the defensive side, tactical side of boxing, man. I really do. And I guess I'm one of those guys. I don't really see it as boring. I don't really see it as boring, because, again, that's part of the science. It's part of the sweet science, right? Being able to get out of the way of shots, right? So guys like, say like a Mayweather or even a Pernell Whitaker, right? The way that they could get out of the way and move from shots is just as beautiful as landing combinations to me, in my mind.
No disrespect to the great Sweet Pea, right? Legendary stuff he was doing out there. But, part of being in boxing is it's a release for you. It's a form of controlled aggression that is acceptable. And if I'm just getting in there, ooh, let me get out the way, ooh, don't touch me, what aggression are you releasing? Let the hands go. Let your hands go. What did coach say? Let your hands go. Work the stick, work the jab, throw combinations off of it. It doesn't mean you're reckless if you're aggressive. It can be controlled. It doesn't mean you're trash if you're letting your hands go, right? So there's got to be a balance to it. You can't just be so defensive to where you are labeled defensive, because you are literally taken away from the sport by doing so. It's like a football game where it's like 3-3. Like 2 field goals scored.
Yeah, right? Football is a little different. That's trash. You definitely want to see offensive football.
Right? I'm not here for a defensive game. I think that transitions into the sport of boxing, into combat sports specifically. We want action. And I think as a boxer, you should be required to do so.
I get that. I can see that. Another defensive fighter that we kind of want to break down and talk about, Shakur Stevenson, because he really gets a bad rap right now for not being exciting, right? Not letting his hands go, not being a brawler, not, getting blooded or blooding up the other guy. It's like we're not getting that type of excitement from a Shakur Stevenson fight. So how do you feel about that? How you break that down?
I mean, his nickname is literally Shakira Twitterson, because all he does is talk. He's there. He's going to tweet the shit out of you. But the fight is a whole different story. But it's not his style. He's going to sell you something, and the product is not what he's selling, right? It's like a bad product. You hype me up, and then you didn't deliver. I actually like Shakur.
But that's what I was going to say. And I know you like Shakur, but I'm like, is he still not? Yes, he's defensive, but is he still not one of the best fighters in the world?
He absolutely is, skill-wise. But would I give you more than $20 to go see a Shakur Stevenson fight? A main event? I don't think so.
So what it needs to be then is more balanced, right? I think what you want to see from a Shakur Stevenson type of guy is just more balance in his fighting style.
Especially when you're fighting the electricians of the sport, right? When you're fighting guys that just clearly aren't on your level, you need to get them out of there. You got to sell it. Right, you got to make the top dogs want to get in the ring with you, and you sell it by taking care of business against lesser opponents. And that's something Shakur, no matter who he's fighting, he's defensive, and I don't like that.
You know what? And that's why I got to give credit to Shakur Stevenson's big dog, to his big homie, Terrence Crawford. Because one thing about Terrence Crawford is he's good defensively and offensively. And then Terrence Crawford has a killer instinct. Terrence Crawford wants to get you out of there. Terrence Crawford wants to hurt you. And I just don't know that we get that sense and that feel from Shakur Stevenson. Would you agree with that?
Flip the switch. Why not?
Yeah. Just being able to flip that switch and step on that gas.
Why not? I mean, it only increases your marketability, right? It gives you aura, right? They need to get in the ring with there's a new term now. I sound old. There's a new term now. It's called aura farming, right? You need to get in there and shoe shine, right? We are aura farming in the ring. We got to do something exciting, man. We need some clickbait. Man, Shakur Stevenson gives you none of that.
Yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with that. We had another defensive fight. Well, somewhat defensive, depending on, I guess, how you look at it. But he was very good defensive. He is good defensively and tactically. Lomachenko's
interesting because skill-wise, I don't think there's too many people, even in history, that you can put above him, right? But I think he's just a victim of being a really small guy. And so
wait, he doesn't get the same type of heat that a Shakur Stevenson gets, right?
I mean,
is it because he's more offensively sound than Shakur Stevenson?
Loma has turned up on people in a way that Shakur absolutely has not. Loma, I think he had a string of making guys quit in the corner. Shakur is not doing that. You know, he made really skilled guys quit on that stool in consecutive matchups. And so Lomachenko, now they call him the Matrix, right? And so he's skilled, he's tactical, but everything he's doing is smart. And so he's knowing when to turn up. He is a defensive fighter, but I think Loma has somewhat of a kill switch. It's not a knockout punch because he's in a lower weight class. Those guys can handle big punches, right? But Lomachenko knows when to turn it on. He knows when to stop a guy. He knows when he's got his guy hurt. He knows how to capitalize. So he's finished his fights just a little bit better than Shakur Stevenson has. But he's like 5 foot. So it's like he's got to keep moving up in weight. And it's like he ran into more athletic fighters. And it became the downfall of his career.
Yeah, and I like Lomachenko's style. Yeah, I don't mind watching a Lomachenko fight. I don't feel that it's boring. His defensive, and again, I kind of a little bit of comparison to how kind of the way that Pernell Whitaker kind of moved around and dodged punches and used angles. Lomachenko's like, shout out to the Ukrainian. He's one of the best at that. So yeah, I don't necessarily knock Vasily Lomachenko for the way that he fights, even though he is definitely considered a defensive fighter.
Shout out Loma, and I will second that. Ukrainian fighters are some of the best fighters in the world. That style can go against any other style and compete.
I agree, man. Shout out to Ukraine, man. So moving on. So another style in boxing that we kind of want to break down and talk about is, I think, a lot of people's favorite. My favorite in particular is the boxer puncher, right? And so the boxer puncher is kind of like he's the guy that can kind of do it all, right? He can get in that ring and kind of just do whatever you need him to do, right? So now we're talking about guys like, let's say, a Sugar Ray Leonard.
Well, I think, in all honesty, if you're a fan of anime, then you'll understand what I'm about to say. Hands up, Sugar Ray Leonard can go toe-to-toe with Goku. And I mean that because the man can fight. Like, he can fight. And
in his prime, he was.
I mean, to this day, I wouldn't go and fight Sugar Ray Leonard.
Come on,
get him out of his. He might not be in a wheelchair, but get him out of his wheelchair, man. Sugar Ray might be a problem, and I say that because he could turn it up. He could shoe shine you. He could put those combinations together, and it was all controlled. He didn't do it recklessly and get himself knocked out mid combination, right? He didn't go in there too big headed. Like, I'm in there with a lesser opponent, I'm gonna knock him out. Make mistakes. He was good. He was entertaining, all while being skilled. There's a difference between being entertaining and you make mistakes, and being entertaining and being great. And that is what Sugar Ray Leonard was. I'm a big goddamn fan. And so for me Sugar Ray Leonard, he's got to be on this wall somewhere, right? I don't know. He has to be, right? Shout out Sugar Ray Leonard.
Shout out Ray Leonard. Yeah, there he is right there.
When we talk about the greats, we always talk about the Tysons, the Alis, the Floyd Mayweathers. I don't think Sugar Ray Leonard gets the respect that he deserves.
You don't think Sugar Ray Leonard gets he gets a lot of clout, man?
He does, but it should be on the same level of, we should say, Sugar Ray is better, if not better than Ali. We should be saying Sugar Ray is better, if not better than Tyson. Right?
Well, I think Ali, actually, both Ali and Tyson,
skill wise.
But right, so skill wise, definitely Ray Leonard's up there. But I think for Ali and Tyson specifically, it's also what was going on outside of the ring.
Impact. Yeah, I get that. So he wasn't out there, fighting for civil rights, and I get that, right? But at the same time, he could beat your ass in that ring.
He could definitely.
He did it well.
He did it well.
I mean, skill wise, even if we're just talking skill, now granted, Impact plays a lot into the aura of who you are, and decades later, how much they talk about you, right? What you do outside of the ring absolutely matters. But inside of that ring, there's a few people, in my opinion, who can do what Sugar Ray Leonard was able to do in that ring.
Man, and I think that's why that boxer puncher style is so favored by a lot of people, because you're versatile, right? And speaking of another versatile guy, we want to talk about Terrence Crawford.
It's win or get carried out on a stretcher for me. Either I'm going to get you or you're going to get me. Because at the end of the day, it's a fight, and that's what we come to do. It's going to be me or you. If I take your punch, your best punch, then you're in trouble. Now, I know I can take your punch. I felt it. Now, let's see if you can take mine.
Right? Because he's another potential, boxer puncher that's just, I mean, in my mind, he's up there with Ray Leonard. Now, you might not think so, being a Ray Leonard stan, but I think that Terrence Crawford is right up there with the greats. He's right up there with the likes of Sugar Ray Leonard or Floyd Mayweather and all of them. Again, with that boxer puncher style. What do you think?
Some people deserve to have stands, and Sugar Ray Leonard is one of those people, right? Also, Terrence Crawford is one of those people. And what I really like about what Terrence Crawford has done in his career, he's dared to be great. Who goes up 3 weight classes to fight the reigning undisputed champ? Who does that? In this era, I want to keep my on my record era. In this, I'm going to let the fight sizzle for years before it actually happens era. Who goes up 3 weight classes and challenges for undisputed? It's a different type of heart that he has, and it's special, right? And so the way that I glaze Sugar Ray adds some of that glaze to Terrence Crawford. He's a GOAT.
No, and you know what? I'm not even going to clown you. It's deserved. It's fully deserved. Both of Ray Leonard and Terrence Crawford, I think, is definitely, the glaze is deserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, man. Another guy we want to talk about, all-time great boxer puncher, Roy Jones Jr. Now, he might be the epitome, right? And I know how great Ray is and how was, and I know how great Terrence Crawford is right now. But Roy Jones Jr., you want to talk about a guy who could hit and not get hit? That boxer puncher style? I mean, how great was Roy Jones?
I really like Roy is in this category, but for a whole different reason. I think Roy Jones Jr. may have been the most athletic boxer in boxing history. It was God-given, and he just happened to choose boxing. He was of a different cloth. I don't know. I'm not intentionally glazing everybody.
We're talking about Ray Leonard, Terrence Crawford, and Roy Jones. It's hard. You know what I mean? Not pause. It's hard not to.
I'm gonna give respect where it is due. Roy Jones Jr. to be able to put your hands behind your back, do a shimmy, and then throw a knockout left hook is different.
He's unreal.
It's different. To get hit with that, I would feel a type of way. Like, goddamn it, how? Why did I get hit with that? I would rethink boxing if a guy was able to do that to me, right? And so, man, the downfall was epic, but the prime, to go and watch a Roy Jones Jr. fight, I mean, it was inspiring. I'm sure there are a generation of athletes who wanted to fight just like Roy. My first pair of shoes, right? The black and gray Jordan Roy Jones boxing boots. I wish I still had them, man, because goddamn it, they're iconic. What Roy was to boxing, the athleticism, the swagger, the heart, the I am who I am. This is how I fight. Out of Pensacola, Florida. Shout out to legendary Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr.
I think a lot of different guys have favorable styles and techniques, but that boxer puncher style is just, I think it's one of the better ones.
Absolutely.
Last, I want to talk about pressure fighters. All right. Now, these are the guys that are just coming forward and really trying to whoop your ass at all times, which is probably the complete opposite from the defensive fighters, right? But you got certain guys that were really good at it. And one of the guys that most famously good at that, coming forward, Mike Tyson.
So I have an opinion. And as much as I disliked the defensive fighter, the pressure fighter, I don't dislike it, but they don't deserve any more praise. Because to me, a defensive fighter...
They don't deserve any more praise than a defensive fighter?
They don't. You're one-dimensional. Why did you not add it to your tool bag? Why are you known for only coming forward in a sport that offers so much more?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's talk about it, though. Let's break it down, because if you got a guy, say like a la Mike Tyson, who's so good at what he does, as so good at coming forward, and he's not just coming forward. He's not just there to be hit. He's also giving you defensive tactics and maneuvers, all while pressuring you. And I'm talking about Mike Tyson specifically, not most pressure fighters.
He was so good until he faced adversity. When adversity showed its face, Mike Tyson didn't handle it well. And why? Because he's an offensive fighter. The balanced fighter, just to piggyback off what you said, is essentially the best fighter in boxing. You need a tool bag. You can't just get on the court and all you got is a hezzy and no crossover. That's what a defensive fighter is. They got just a hezzy, they lack a crossover. And so, with that being said, Mike Tyson he's legendary, right? It's iconic, it's generational. But when adversity reared its head, when he was in front of somebody who can handle his aggression, he didn't handle it well.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's debatable. Shout out to Teddy Atlas. But I will say this, in his prime, right? Mostly in the 80s is what I'm talking about, right? With his pressure style, right? So Mike Tyson specifically, with him coming forward, it wasn't just, I'm offensive, right? It was kind of a mix. Even though he's still definitely a pressure fighter, he's still using angles. He's still using head movement. He's still, coming in behind the jab and things like that. Even though he definitely is still a pressure fighter, it was a more unique style of pressure fighting. The footwork was there. Everything was there with a prime Mike Tyson.
It was something new until he ran into people with experience. And it changed the game. I mean, you're going to knock out former football players. Absolutely.
Now we're
right. No disrespect to Tyson.
Now we're doing this.
Right? He was knocking out guys who were former Crips, right? Guys who used to play for whatever, such and such football team. But then he got in front of boxers, right? He got in front of a boxer puncher in Buster Douglas, right? So that style, it keeps coming up when we talk about what it means to be great at boxing. It's a well-balanced style. As great as Tyson was, his style actually was not well-balanced.
Well, let's talk about it, man. We got another pressure fighter we want to talk about, since we kind of hating on pressure fighters a little bit right now. Pac-Man. And we're talking about a prime Pac-Man. A prime Manny Pacquiao, right? With his aggression, with his skill set, how do we feel about a Pac-Man? So, because you said Mike was kind of not showing up in the big fights. Well, what do you have to say about Pac-Man?
Pac-Man is a living legend. Pac-Man is an 8th division champion. Pac-Man is a dog. I've never seen a worse knockout in my life.
Straight right hand right in the button. Whoa.
And you want to know why? Because he was being aggressive. Because he was pressuring his opponent. And he got time. And he damn near went to heaven behind it. Right? And so as much as I love Manny Pacquiao, it damn near proves my point. Like, you gotta get more tools in your bag when we get to talking about the greats in the sport of boxing. Don't get me wrong, I love Pacquiao, right? Shout out Manny Pacquiao. Shout out to the Philippines. He's coming back for a championship fight this summer. Mario Barrios. I hope he does this. I hope he doesn't look old in that fight. But with that being said, that is the most brutal knockout I've seen, and not even from a guy that's known.
So wait a minute. So we're gonna knock this man's entire career based off what Juan Manuel Marquez did to this man.
Did you see it?
I did. I happened to be watching it when it happened.
Okay, so then that explains itself, right?
But okay. I can't do that. I can't sum up his style.
I gave him his respect, right? He's got the statistics. He's got the accolades.
Okay, well, wait a minute, because there are pitfalls and downfalls to probably every style.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, so why are we knocking Pac-Man so hard?
Pac-Man's pitfall in that fight was his chin, right?
And you're saying it's because his propensity to come forward and apply pressure is why he got knocked out.
He was known to be reckless. Pac-Man is not a defensive fighter. He's not there to hit and knock and hit. Pac-Man would take a punch to deliver his own. Absolutely. It's his style that caused him to eat dirt that night. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue. Man, but just to boil his entire style, fighting style, technique down to, and his career, really what it sounds like, down to what Juan Manuel did that night is tough. Another pressure fire we want to kind of talk about, and just slightly glaze over, a current fighter, Isaac Cruz. Now, I think he is a good example of a one-dimensional guy, but I think that the framework of a fighter, right, the physical stature of a fighter, a lot of times has a lot to do with how you're going to fight and how you perform in that ring. And I think Pitbull is a good example of that. Like, could you see him trying to be a boxer puncher or trying to be more of a defensive guy? I don't think that would suit him, right? Just because of his physical and biological makeup.
So what you're saying, right? He's a 5-foot Mexican, right? And so he's going to come forward and he's going to fight like a 5-foot Mexican, right?
But it's relatively speaking, so he's had a successful career and it's worked for him. And I think that's, and a lot of times how a person fights has a lot just like we were talking about with Tyson, right? So he's the shorter heavyweight, stocky guy, strong guy, and it made sense for him to be this aggressive guy against 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", big heavyweights.
I believe I've said this before, and if I haven't, then I want to make sure I do say it again. Pitbull is ass. Right? And
we're not so judging the fighter, right?
Okay, the style.
More so the style.
So I'll say this: Pitbull is ass, but the style of being an aggressive fighter, it doesn't make you great. And honestly, I think it takes away from a sport. Once again, it offers so much more. There's so much that you can be. You can be a defensive fighter. You can be a balanced fighter. You can have a American style, a Soviet style, a Mexican style, a European style. Mm-hmm. What makes you just put your hands up and come forward? Why? There's so much.
Well, I think that there's something to be said about being able to get in that ring and apply your will, right, to the person that you're in there against, right?
Oh, so it's a physical.
Sometimes it is.
Okay.
Sometimes that's what boxing is. Okay. Right? And being able to just walk, and I'll be honest, I mean, I've done it before, and it feels good to be able to get in that ring and just be able to walk another man down.
So when we started this, I was chin up, eyes closed, throwing punches. I'm that guy. But at the same time, I didn't box for that long. Right? And so it was because I understood, God damn it, I don't want to.
That's tough.
It's not.
It's a tough way to go.
It's not the best fighting style, right? If I could pick a style somebody wanted to emulate, I would be a cross between the three balanced fighters that we named, right? I would be a Roy Jones / Terrence Crawford type of guy, pretty much the guy to boxing, right? He doesn't exist. But that's what I would want to emulate. I wouldn't want to be boring, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to be all action to where I'm susceptible to getting hurt, you know? And so some of my favorite fighters, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. I really like Triple G. Guys that come forward, but they do it smart. They don't get hurt. I never saw Marvin Hagler hurt, right? In most of his fights in his prime.
Although Marvin could potentially also be labeled as, a pressure guy.
Triple G. Never saw him hurt. Come forward, strong. Looks like, a Best Buy salesman. But he understood the techniques of boxing, of how to punch, right? I think those styles don't get heralded enough. What they are.
I don't know. I think maybe if I had to choose, it would be a cross and a mix between a boxer, puncher, and a pressure fighter. Because if I can get in there,
Benavidez,
right? If I can get in there and I know for a fact, like, hey, you're a lesser man than I am, and I can walk you down and whoop your ass if that's what I feel like, right? I'm not doing nothing pretty. I'm just taking you out, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's what a lot of guys figure in their mind. That's what they're going to do. And I'm not mad at that either. I mean, and on top of that, it's very entertaining, right? That's how you build that aura, right? That's how guys like Tyson, Hagler, Pac-Man, that's how they built that aura, right? Just get in there and destroying people.
don't do it the way Pac-Man did it. Shout out Marquez.
Yeah, shout out Juan Manuel Marquez, man. And you know what? Shout out to Marvin Hagler, man. And you know what? We want to talk about a little bit more about Marvin Hagler in our fantasy matchup, right? And so in this fantasy matchup, we want to talk about the Marvelous One versus Cinnamon.
So
Let's talk about it. Canelo Alvarez versus Marvin Hagler. Who do we think wins that matchup?
you got one of the greater Mexicans versus
It could be the greatest.
could be,
Straight out of Guadalajara.
debatable versus the only black guy from like Rhode Island.
No,
and Marvelous. Is he from Rhode Island?
no, I thought it was like
Connecticut?
Massachusetts or
Oh,
something
might be
like that. I
Connecticut.
want to say it was from Black Brockton. I think Brockton,
No, you're right.
Massachusetts.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Let me correct myself. from Massachusetts. Literally the only black guy from like the 60s in Massachusetts. But he ended up being the toughest guy ever out of there. Man, shout out Marvelous. So I don't know if I told you this before, right? So back when we were fighting, of course everybody has aspirations of going pro. I'm like, man, my nickname is gonna be Marvelous Jeremiah McGordon, right? That was gonna be like I was gonna use that. I thought that was amazing. Goddamn, it couldn't be a greater. As simple as that was, you couldn't have been greater than Marvelous Marvin Hagler, right? And so, as good as he was, he's for some reason he's just not heralded as one of the best ever. Like his name is in the shadows.
Well, I think he gets lumped in, right? He gets lumped in with Hearns.
And he shouldn't be, right? Because think about what he did to Hearns, right? He shouldn't be lumped in. But with that being said, Saul is the complete package. For a Mexican fighter, he is the one guy that delivers it all. He's not a pressure fighter. If anything, he is the most balanced Mexican fighter in Mexican boxing history. Never seen him hurt. Puts his punches together well. Faces good opposition. Faces bad opposition. The same way all boxers in their prime do. Canelo is a complete package, and I'm just not mad at a Canelo victory against the marvelous Marvin Hagler.
You can see it happening.
I can see it.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that Canelo could potentially stop a marvelous Marvin Hagler in his prime?
Canelo hasn't stopped a lot of people in his prime. Now, I'll say that. But at the same time, he has outboxed plenty of people in his prime. Now, it's a fight. But it almost makes you think of, we were speaking on Triple G. It almost gives me a Canelo Triple G vibe. I could see Marvin Hagler playing the role of Triple G. And think about that second fight, that rematch, where Canelo switched the game plan and he outboxed Triple G. He was a smarter fighter. He's shown that he can make adjustments. And so, especially if it's a 2-fight, a trilogy, 4 fights, Canelo has shown the ability to make adjustments. And I just wonder what Marvin Hagler does once he finds out he can't just be aggressive the whole night.
Well, I'm going to tell you what Marvin Hagler does. And he sends the Mexican back to Mexico on a gurney. That's what he does. Come on, man. You know who we talking about right now, man. We're talking about the marvelous one. And I think that most boxing fans would agree that if you're going toe to toe, right? Because let's be honest, like Canelo has spent a lot of time pressuring guys, right? And standing right in front of guys. Do you think he does that with a marvelous Marvin Hagler?
He's never been hurt.
Canelo's never been hurt?
Never. Not once.
Well, you know who tried to do that? Tommy Hearns, right? Tommy Hearns tried to stand in front of Marvin Hagler, right? And I think that Tommy Hearns would knock out Canelo Alvarez.
Why?
Why not?
Why? Tommy has suffered some brutal knockouts,
and he's also delivered some brutal knockouts. I just
in
don't
smaller
see
weight classes.
I don't see Canelo standing in front of Tommy Hearns, and I for damn sure don't see Canelo standing in front of the Marvelous One. I think that the pressure applied, and you know what? I think it would be that type of fight though, like what Hagler and Hearns did, right? In those, what was it, 3 rounds?
It was short.
Yeah, it was short, and I think that it could potentially be that. But hell, I could see Canelo getting on that bike. He might have to get on that bike and get away from Marvin, and I could see Marvin chasing him down, walking him down, and getting him out of there the same way he did a lot of middleweights in the 1980s.
Canelo has fought from junior welter up to super middle, if I'm correct, and so he can handle power across weight classes, right? And so he can fight a Bivol. He can box with a Bivol and not get hurt. But he can also fight a Floyd Mayweather.
Imagine if Bivol, right, stood right in front of Canelo and decided that he was just going to try to whoop Canelo's ass.
But you can't.
You can't?
That's not an option.
It wouldn't be an option for Marvin Hagler.
For anybody. All respect to Saul. Cinnamon. All I'm saying is it's a fight. It's not a...
Marvin Hagler completely dog walks Canelo Alvarez. And you heard it right here on the Unprofessional Experts podcast.
I'm not mad at it. But I also think, Cinnamon deserves more respect than what you're giving him.
He's getting respect by even being in the ring with Marvin Hagler.
People can't see him. Cinnamon's up here too, right? Cinnamon's on the wall. He's behind you, right? And so we got to talk about it.
And
you don't get on this wall for no reason.
I get that, right? and respect the Canelo. I'm not disrespecting
Guadalajara.
Shout out to Guadalajara, but I'm not gonna act like Marvin Hagler wouldn't destroy this man.
He was probably Irish, right? Because of the way that he looks, right? But he was obviously born and raised Mexican.
The man don't even speak English.
There are no redhead Mexicans, right? So, shout out to his moms, right? Whenever he is. Man, Cinnamon's great.
And I think that Marvin Hagler in his career fought just, I wouldn't say maybe skill-wise better, but just grittier, tougher, right? Bigger guys, especially back in the day. And I just don't think that, I just don't see Canelo matching up with Marvin.
Absolutely a better generation of boxers, without a doubt. Cinnamon, at the beginning of his career, probably got into boxing when it was on a decline. He's part of the reason why it's, ticking upwards. But it's debatable. It's time for the people to chime in, right? Are we crazy? Marvin Hagler is one of the 4 kings. He's a legend. He dog walks. Cinnamon or the new generation deserves more respect. It's time for the people to chime in. Go ahead and let us know what you think in the comment section below. Both of us are willing to argue with you. With that being said, man, that's been today's episode, man. Just a quick recap. We got to break down the intricacies of the sport that we love, the world of boxing. Man, go ahead, follow, subscribe. Tell a friend, tell anybody, man, a random pet, a random elderly person they love to talk. Like, hey, have you seen this podcast? Unprofessional Experts. Man, we're talking about boxing. Follow, subscribe, because if you do not, I'm going to fight you. With that being said, man, that's all we got for you today, folks. Until next time.
Man, right now. It's not, bros. All right, my bad. All right. Yeah, shout out to Roy. Shout out to Ray Leonard and shout out to Terrence Crawford, man. That boxer puncher style is just, I don't know. I got a lot of, favorable styles. I feel like that, favor different people, favorable. Gonna have to cut that out.